Well, it is the following day, and I need to bring you guys up to speed here very quickly because I missed a few hours of the day here today, and I need to explain just a couple things. I had to go to the eye doctor today. I went to the ophthalmologist or optometrist, what have you. I went there basically for a checkup. However, I was having a problem with my eye, left eye, from getting a piece of metal in it from a week ago. While I was gone, they ended up putting a radiator, or they're working on putting a radiator in Alex's truck. I just got done fluid filming this Western Star, and we're gonna go over and visit with Jered here in a second. He's got his wire harness on that engine, and he's getting ready to fire it up. So we had on Alex's truck, it cracked the radiator up at the top. There's a plastic tank up on top of the radiator, and that cracked here back there. And it was actually the last load of corn she took. So we got a new radiator ordered for this. The radiator from Freightliner was $2,300. I found one through Fleet Pride, and I got one for like $1,300. We're gonna put thermostats in it, all new radiator hoses. She did blow this hose one night coming home from the farm that we have furthest away from us. She blew that hose, and Nate, my father, helped get that going, and then the radiator popped on us. So they've got that to finish up, and we'll go ahead and walk next door here, and we'll check on Jered. So while I was gone today, I don't know if it was UPS or FedEx or whoever it was, they dropped off the wire harness adapter that takes the truck from a 70 pin to what the engine is, which is a 40 pin. So he's got that harness in there. He's got oil in it. He's had to do some modifications to the oil fill tube here. He's got that fixed. He's hooking up his starter wire now, and he's going to be ready to start this here in a few minutes. Now, Jered overheard the conversation that we were having about how much that radiator cost, and I guess I didn't bring that to his attention when I ordered that, but the radiator that we bought for the W900, which that radiator is just absolutely huge, stands about this tall, all metal frame, the whole metal frame and everything came with it. That was around $1,400, and that one I got for the Freightliner was $1,300, and it's basically the same thing that Freightliner would have, but it is what it is. Now, we had a comment the other day that it must be nice to have all this money, you know, to buy new equipment and buy all these parts and everything else like that. And I found it amusing. I always find all the comments amusing, and it's damned if we do, damned if we don't. If we don't buy new equipment, like I'll have comments, guys will be saying, why don't you just junk that truck and buy a new one? We'll get that comment, and then on the other side of it, when we do buy something, we get a comment about, you know, geez, it must be nice to have all this money. Well, we don't have any trees with money that grows on it. We buy this stuff because we have to. Now, I'm not going off on a tangent here. The comments don't bother me. I find it amusing. I just find it really amusing. I mean, the option we have, and that would be actually throwing money away. We could just take and park that truck, and we could say, well, we don't want to spend the money on the radiator, and we don't have the ambition to put the parts into it, so we've got so much money, it's falling out of our pockets. We're just going to park that, and we're going to buy a new one. So it doesn't.
That truck's 10 years old.
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, the truck's right.
80% of the stuff we got, I remember since I was a little kid, I was stuck on my thumb in that tractor.
Yeah, yeah, that tractor was brand new. Jered was born in '97. He was 3-4 years old. I don't know. You weren't still sucking your thumb at 3 or 4 years old, were you? Maybe you were.
Probably.
Maybe you were. I don't know. He still does every once in a while. We catch him, but we say something to him and he pulls it out of his mouth. Nah, we're just kidding. But he's gonna be able to fire this up in a second, so yeah. Well, we gotta be careful now. We're yammering on too much. We're yammering on too much here. Another thing that I want to do to this truck, we'll walk around this Western Star quick here. I'm going to change the oil on it. I've got to check the differential oils. I should have done that before I did the fluid film. And then we're going to go through and torque these wheels too. We rotated them and now we need to torque them. I did put a little bit of grease up on the fifth wheel. I ended up putting 2 gallons of material on this truck and it really makes it glisten. We ended up putting fluid film on all of this stuff here up underneath. We did the inner frame rail, the outer, as you can see, and all in underneath the cab. Looks like brand new here. So this, I don't know if you guys have seen this fluid film, but I've ended up buying a wool wax kit here a while ago on Amazon, and they sent me a gallon of product, which we used that here the other day, but I don't like how that product applies. It doesn't go on as good as this fluid film. Now this fluid film, it's kind of like, oh, I don't know, I don't know what you would call that. It's kind of like the consistency of jelly, really. And I end up filling up my containers with a funnel. Just pour it into, which I can show you. I just pour it out of the gallon jug. That'll probably tip over. I pour it out of the gallon jug. I get I just tap the little jug or the little container on the bench. That gets the material to fall out of the funnel, and then what I do is cap these and sit them in front of the kerosene heater. We were putting the stuff in a hot pail of water, but that doesn't work. So it works best if it's right in front of the kerosene heater. Another thing that we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to replace this front right tire. Now you'll say, well, geez, Andy, there's something wrong with the front end alignment on this truck. No, I don't think there's anything wrong with the front end alignment. This tire would be wore like this from running on back roads. There's a crown in the road, puts the left side of the truck high, and then this side here would be running on rougher ground too. So I ended up picking up this Armstrong tire down to Syracuse retreaders. So we picked up that on my way back out of the city today from having my eyes looked at. We had some 24.5s, but I didn't have any 22.5 steer tires. All of the steer tires that we had were 24.5, and anything that I had that was a 22.5, it was for a trailer or a lift axle, and they advised me not to use that tread pattern. So let's go ahead and we'll let this run a while, get it hot, dump the oil out of it, and we can get this out the door. It's going to be a good truck, or if I decide to sell it, it's going to make someone a good truck. So If I sell it, I'd have to get $92.5 out of it. So if anybody's interested in this, $92.5 will take it away. We've got a brand new hydraulic system in there. It's gonna have excellent tires all the way around. It's been fluid filmed. It's all ready to go. So let's get to it. Well, Jered's got oil in it. Everything's all sealed up, and this is gonna be the first that it is even attempted to be turned over. So if this blows up, you guys will see it firsthand. Coolant leak. That's because there's no radiator in it, so that ain't hooked up. Give it a sniff. It's got oil pressure. Oh, that's good. I'll go get a can of ether. There it is. Oh, premium starting fluid. That one's empty. Gotta remember, boys and girls, this ain't like the movies here. This stuff is dry. It needs primed. Now what we should have done is started it up and then shut it off and then acted like we just tried it, you know. It's been setting for a while too. Now, we talked about it briefly. I shouldn't bring it up again, but I'm gonna, just because we're not supposed to have this engine. And this is pushing out. This one here is set up for over 500 horsepower. This engine came out of a fire truck. And for that application, they can put out that much horsepower. We're of course not gonna push it to the limit here, but pretty good. So, I guess we can start putting all the components on it. It runs now.
Got no Jake brake.
Not plugged in all the way.
Oh, everything's hooked up.
Huh. Well, just have to look into that. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get oil poured into this Western Star here. Well, we've got most of the oil poured in. While that one pail is draining into the other, we're gonna go ahead and dismount this tire. Now, some of you have said that I need to get one of these fancy tire tools. I don't even know what the heck this thing is called, but I haven't used it in probably 3 years. You can see the amount of dust that's on it. So last time we used that, we had a little competition with old James, and we dismounted a tire, and he got it dismounted just within seconds quicker than I dismounted one with hand tools. But we're gonna try that, just see how it works. Dismount this tire, and then we'll mount that one back up, because some of you had suggested that I use one of them tools. So I'm gonna see how clumsy I am with that tool. I don't even know if I remember how to use it. Do you remember how to use it?
No, I'm kind of curious.
I don't remember how to use it.
I don't know why they're standing around. I want to see what it's doing. No, I don't think that's right. Is that right?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Does it go on the other side of the rim? Does it not work? Does it not work on that side? Oh, there you go. There you go. It might not work on that side.
Like that. I don't know.
Push it down. We might have to flip the rim over. We probably got to flip the rim more, because that's actually the way to take it off. Anyway, it's off this side. So, smash that on the ground. Put a little lube on here. We're not really quite sure we know how to use the tool. Yeah, that's how you do it. Go like this. Go like that.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh. Like that. And you're supposed to be able to take and get that other side too, aren't you? How are you supposed to get the other side?
I don't really know.
I thought you could do it all from one spot.
Yeah, it's like somehow wipe it.
I think you're supposed to be able to do it. Oh, I see. Yeah, so you lift the beam up into this part.
Oh, alright.
Oh boy.
Pretty cool.
So, I think I'll continue, maybe I should stay in that direction. I think I'll continue to use the regular hand tools. Ah! Special, very special.
So you didn't want to just flip that around?
Nah, we'll put a new one on it. Hate to sell a truck for $92,000 with a tire that's got a cider gone.
What? That's what we sell to.
That's right.
We don't have enough mixed match tires on this either.
Oh, let's turn this so you guys can see it. I know I'm supposed to be pushing the tire over the top of the rim. I don't like doing it that way. I'll do it this way. There we go. By doing it this way, it makes you have to handle the tire one extra time. Throw a little lube on here, which all this is just spent diesel fuel from changing filters. When we pull a set of filters off of something, we dump the filters into that jug there. I know I'll get some comments too about tire machine. Well, tire machine would be a little funky for this job. All right, while we're installing some new wind in that tire, why don't we talk about all of the things that I did wrong here. One, I didn't know what I was doing with that bead breaking tool. Two, I should have left the rim on the floor and forced the tire down over the top of it. Three, I should have had air going into my cheetah ahead of time. I didn't need it, but I didn't know I didn't need it. And four, I should not have put the core back into that valve stem. If I didn't have the core in there, wind would have went into that tire a lot faster and it would have seated faster. It did seat on its own, but had I wasted any more time with that, I would have had to have gotten the cheetah out, and we would have needed the cheetah to blast the tire onto the bead. So we'll go ahead and get that inflated. Now another thing that we did to this truck as well is we put new batteries in it. So this has 4 brand new X-side batteries. We'll go ahead and get the battery cover open and we'll show you what that looks like. Here we have a brand new, 4 brand new X-side batteries. And then that's where the diesel exhaust fluid goes. It goes in underneath the step. I know some of you would rather have something that didn't have the emission stuff on it, but an engine that takes diesel exhaust fluid is better than the whatever emissions engines are. The ones that, you know, have an exhaust filter, do the exhaust burn off and whatever like that, they're not as good as these later model engines are. So we need to get the rest of the oil installed and then we can get our wheel on, and then that should about finish this truck up. Well, we have the oil in. I've got the tire mounted and on there. I've got to go back. I've got to go around this truck and torque the wheels down. But I have to go down to Charlotte's basketball game quick. It is a makeup game. It starts at 11, so I'll be back here in an hour and a half or so. These guys are getting ready to put the coolant package back on the truck 7 here. When we took this engine out, he had that cross member in there. It was just easier to put the engine back in with it out. So they're putting that on there. He's got to get a fan for it. We got to figure out why the Jake brake isn't working. We had a wire off, that's why it wouldn't start. Jered found that and got that going. So we were really skeptical about the ECU when it first originally didn't start. We feared the worst, and then we weren't sure that the adapter harness was made correctly, but he found a wire that was unhooked, and it started right up. So I'll be back in a while. You gonna be able to keep busy here? Or should we have you go to the game with us? You don't want to go to the game? Jered's trying to find a fan for this thing.
Yeah.
Any locks?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be a lot easier to put this fan on now than when the cooling package is installed. It's just a pain in the butt. So, well, I'll be back in a while. Well, we've got this Western Star all done. I am back from the basketball game. That was Charlotte's official last game of the year. It was actually a makeup game, and they won by, I don't know, it must have been 25 points I think they won by. But this is ready to go. We're gonna get it pulled out of the shop, and we're gonna pull the 900 in next. I've got to put a valve body on that as well, and that should go pretty easy because I've got the piece that goes across the frame done. Now, just a recap on this truck, we put the wet line kit on there, new tank, new hydraulic pump, rebuilt PTO. We put 4 new batteries in it, 1 new tire up front here. The rest of the tires are 70 to 80% tread. We've got all open shoulder tires except that outside one on this left-hand side. I checked the oil in both differentials. The oil levels are good there. We've got new oil in the transmission, and we have a fresh oil change. While I was gone, I had new air filters that I bought yesterday. Andrew pulled them apart while I was gone to the basketball game, and what were those like? Yeah. So he just blew those out. It's got the air filters in it that it came with. To be honest with you, by the looks of the fuel filters and the air filter, I think they did a service on this truck before they ended up auctioning it off. But you can never trust anybody to tell you, hey, this thing is for sale and it's got all this fresh work done to it, unless you see it in a video like you've seen here. So Junior will go ahead and get this out the door, and I'll bring the 900 in. Think you can handle getting this out the door? Yeah, well, giddy up. I'll grab the door. This is an Armstrong tire, and I lack a center cap. We did torque all the wheels too, because we had rotated the tires on this here the other day. So he'll go ahead and get this out the door, and I can pull in. Actually, I'm gonna pull in my green Chevy truck and the 900. Well, Andrew wanted to make a couple of hot laps around the shop here, so He's gonna park it here in a minute. We've got the 900 ready to come in. So that is gonna do it for this video, folks. I want to thank you for watching, and we will catch you at the next video.